a chance to trip down into yesteryear, to 1964, when a boat was a boat. She's everything you need in a nice, tight little package. One family has owned this boat since 1964. These are the best, by the way. Can't beat these guys. They never run out of wind. Hi there, this is Captain Q. Join us as we travel hither and yon to show you some great deals on some really interesting boats and maybe learn just a little bit with each one.
Captain.
Oh, hey Randy. I hear you, pal. We're here to look at a really lovely old school boat today. I'm feeling a little nostalgic, but I came over to sit and wait for you here, looking out at the sea, and I found a wonderful little memorial bench here to a Donald Collier who apparently passed over the bar around 2013. And the comment on here was that at sea, I learned how little a person needs, not how much.
Oh, I really like that.
We're in a beautiful, beautiful shipyard. This is sort of like a country club. The wonderful structures and buildings and the tidiness of this property. This is the Mystic Shipyard, and we're in Mystic, Connecticut, home of the Mystic Museum, and a whole lot of wonderful stuff to do with the marine world. Let me tell you about what we're going to look at today.
Yeah, what have you got?
Sea Dog and I came down to look at a Rhodes Reliant. This Rhodes Reliant is a 41-foot fiberglass hull, one of the early fiberglass hulls, designed by Philip Rhodes and built by Choi Lee in Hong Kong. There was a yacht broker in Greenwich, Connecticut named David Toombs. He discovered that they really needed to import a boat that was less than 41 feet because once you bought a boat that was 41 feet and shipped it all the way over, the price went up on it exorbitantly. So he went to Rhodes and said, I need a 3-cabin boat beneath that's 41 feet or less, and Rhodes said, can't do it. And so Toombs said to him, well, would you try? She has three cabins to her, and it has some interesting companionway structure, and it's a boat that will catch your eye. Now, we have a little personal backstory to this myself. When we were first married, we looked to buy a boat to move on to. I really wanted a Rhodes Reliant, but it was just that above my price range, and we ended up finding a delightful Dutch center cockpit catch. Our Captain Q cameraman, where's this
he?
guy right here?
Yeah.
Missed a chance to buy one that had toppled out of her stilts on hard, and he almost did it.
It was so tempting.
Just about pulled back. And then he almost ended up with 2 boats. And
yeah.
You know, we all know now that he has 1 boat, but we don't know what that boat is completely. We'll tell you soon. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Not soon enough. I want to tell.
Not soon enough. So anyway, that's the boat we're going to go look at today, and you're going to love this boat. She draws 5'9", a little deep for the Abacos, but you power hard enough you can plow through some of the sand. She's narrow by today's standard, 10-foot 9-inch beam. This boat is 41 feet with a 28-foot waterline. So what are we going to have?
Nice counters and shear lines.
Bow lines. And you know, standing right here, you can tell which boat it is, can't you? How can you tell that?
Probably the brown mast?
Yes, she has wooden spars. Now this boat was also in the same family.
Wow.
So it's had wonderful stewardship. And there's a lot of neat little things that they put on the boat over the years. Let's go take a look. What do you say?
Yeah, let's go.
What do you think?
Oh, it's really pretty.
Is this a gem?
Yep.
All teak cabin trunk, teak roofs. The decks have been all replaced. Phil Rhodes designed a new pulpit for here because they wanted a little better anchoring arrangement. By extending the 4-triangle for the Jenny, 2 things happen. One, you get a little bit less weather helm on the boat, okay? And it's going to balance out a little bit because you've got a big mainsail here, relative on the boat, and also a mizzen back there. So with the smaller 4-triangle, you wouldn't have had that kind of balance. The other thing they did, not unlike the C&C early designs, is by getting this section out here right on the bow, you can sheet the Jenny outside the shrouds and very neatly right back down to where Sea Dog is sitting right now. Beautiful glass hull down here, notice. We have the Choi Lee insignia up at the bow, a really staunch fabrication for the bowsprit here. And it bleeds right into your old favorite rub rail, complete with a stainless cap on it, of course. And this is all unstained teak on the tow rail. And again, we see another nice scarf right there in the teak rail cap. We've got midships fair leads for spring lines. And there's one nice thing I see right here, I really like off the bat, handle right there on the cabin top. She's pretty standard for the time, full length keel cut way away forward, attached rudder, aperture, has a wooden rudder on her. The whole boat, by the way, was surveyed just a couple of years ago, and it all came up A1.
One thing that strikes me about this boat, especially because it's in the water, is seeing how much freeboard it has. Well,
there's not much freeboard.
Right.
It's fairly low. That was, I mean, it was. They didn't need freeboard. They weren't trying to build as much volume into the boat as they could. They were trying to give you a smooth sailing boat that was pretty, and you weren't planning on having a dance below decks. Let's head aboard here.
All right.
All right, Randy, come on aboard.
Oh, thanks.
This is good old time yachting. Now, this boat's 40 feet. She's about the period. 2 years later, I went to Bermuda on a 40-foot Sparkman Stevens design.
It was the Nevins Yawl?
That was the Nevins A Yawl, right. Yeah. We got about 400 miles down the track of a 600-mile race, and our mast fell off. What they had tried to do, they had 2 separate spreaders on the mast, and in an attempt to make the boat as fast as possible and save weight wherever they could, they changed the weight of the wire going up. And to do that, they had to have a shackle, so to speak, and a clevis pin with a cotter key through that pin. All the port rigging was flopping around the breeze. It was just enough to work the cotter pin out of the clevis pin that went through the shackle. And as soon as we tacked, that clevis pin took off like a .22 rifle, and I looked up to see what happened, and then the whole mast fell over the side of the boat. When you turn around here and look forward, you'll see 2 companionways. Originally, the starboard companionway was the only companionway, and it was neat, and that gave this lump to the left of it a place to have an after cabin. Some people were concerned that on a hard port tack, you may get some water sloshing over the combing here that could eventually find its way down that companionway there. You would close that hatch and it just made getting below tricky. This particular owner had them build in a second companionway, which is not used readily, except maybe to hand up sandwiches and so forth, because the navigator station is right below it. We're surrounded by really nice Variant self-tailing winches. Here's the sail track we were talking about that you're going to trim to off of that bowsprit. And you can see the cars behind you. And you'll see a nice good old-fashioned snatch block up there, right at the beginning of the track. That block can actually be opened up and the line can be taken out of it while it's still attached to the track. We've got GPS and radar right here, and these gauges are all repeated below decks. And this old girl, you know what else she's got?
What's that?
Look at this. You know what that is?
Oh, a bow thruster.
A bow thruster.
Wow.
And a good old multi-degreed compass here from Danforth. This is a beautiful old Constellation compass and a nice stainless binnacle cover on there. Behind me, we got our second mast here. Our mizzen mast, right?
It's the posture keeper.
Yes, it's been varnished and it's just in wonderful shape. And fresh cleats and the lines are all tied off properly and good winches. This is a Barlow, actually. A Barlow drum is captured on there, and then there's a brake handle right here that releases that. So you crank it up and it's under tension, and then you want to let it go. You just take this handle and turn it, point one way or the other, and this will release and the sail will come down. She's has no boomkin on her, just her mizzen sheet comes right to the transom, just aft of this giant box behind us, which houses her propane. This is all bolted down, actually. So to change these tanks, you've got to undo the bolts, but you've got 2 20-pound tanks in here, and you've got the ability to reach in and change the handles there. There are 2 anchors aft, 2 Danforths of 2 different sizes, backups for a second primary, and a lunch hook on the port side there. She's set up with a split backstay because you see the backstay comes down, we've got a mizzen in the way. So they split the backstays and there's no adjustment on this. It's just pretty much set up, ready to go. And nice little locker here. You've got room for your air horn. These are the best, by the way. Can't beat these guys. And all your wind instrumentation is up here. She's got some other instrumentation on the bulkhead. Some of it is old, but reportedly all works. Let's just see what we got in here. Now, again, here we go. Back to the good old days. This is what we call a sail locker. It wasn't a place to put anything else but sails. And look at these sails are all set up in here so nicely. People like to see us talk about sails when we don't normally get them convenient, but this is
old school Hank on.
Oh, it's got Hanks on it. This could be the Storm This could be the staysail that would hang on. We've also got sea scuppers here around the hatches. We like to see that. And we've got the little eyes down here for your safety lines, and a little ventilation for the engine room on either side, and for that locker too. Let's take a look on the other side, see if we did as well there. I'm really liking this boat, you know.
Yeah.
So again, tidy, basic. You know, you got your washing hoses and life jackets, all convenient, and a whole series of. This is nice here. Look at this for all of your lighting gears and so forth.
That's really handy for the helmsman.
Isn't that handy for the helmsman? We've seen this on a couple of boats where you could sort of sit up beside the cabin and stretch out. You could anchor yourself very nicely. Oop, I'm gonna slide right up in here and say, okay.
Cozy. What's up forward?
I thought you'd never ask. Up at the pointy end, and this has got a really nice bowsprit for you, and it's nice and broad.
I'm gonna head right there.
Look at this. I know you're going up there right now. You can watch the dolphins. They'll be leaping at you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Fair leads for your dock lines down here. Look at the size of these things, how they're molded in. A lot of the bronze castings they did for this series of boats was really superb. By the way, I say this series of boats because they built 44 of these, and I guess Troy Lee decided they didn't want to keep paying Rhodes royalty, so they built they did a mirror image of this boat. So we came down the companionway that way. They built one with a companionway on the other side. Okay, right here we have a staysail stay.
Yep.
Set up to take a storm staysail for heavy weather, and they did use this a lot. But there's a pin down here that will pull out. They got a big handle in that pin. Look at the size of that handle. I like that. They really thought it out. They'll pull it out, and they'll take the stay and they'll tie it back to the mast.
I see a couple of big yellow poles here.
These are spinnaker poles. When they set their spinnaker, instead of jibing the pole, they would put up two poles, one over the other, and they would go, you know, about 45 degrees to each boat, like so. So you've got the pole on the real sail, you hoist the pole on the other side, take that one down, and you've basically jibed the spinnaker with two poles. On this side, we've got a handle that goes into, that handle will go, it's just pinned down there, it's locked in place. That'll fit right into the manual windlass, or right here for any rope that's coming up.
I'm noticing our bulwark here is...
oh, it's hefty. It's nice. It's good size. All we know, we got 3-4 inches worth of bulwark on there.
And natural finish.
And they've left it natural. Mast is stepped on deck. No problems with that if it's done properly, and this certainly is. It's got these blocks of wood here. These are called partners. Those will help keep the wedges, rather, keep the mast centered in this fabrication. Now, this fabrication is new. This is not the original one. So the owner had this fabrication done. It's massive. That's like 3/8 stainless on there, and all welded together and so forth. Our old friend, Mr. DeRaid.
I like the red painted interior.
That's a nice touch, yeah, we like that. If you notice on these hatches, there's 2 sets of hinges, but you can have this open, you know, like so, or you can open it from this side and do it like so. We're back in the cockpit, walking across the big bridge deck in front of this Dodger here. In a rough case, you could use it to escape with, but directly beneath this, we will see when we go below, is the chart table, and so on.
Speaking of below.
Let's go below. Hey, Randy.
Yeah.
Yo, come on down, buddy. I think this is the way yachting should be, and I also think that we might have to supplant the Firefly with this boat.
Wow. Just because it's a little bit easier to handle, or why?
It's just a little smaller. It's a little more compact. It's very cozy, easy to handle. Yawl rig, again, we like yawl rigs. And I just love being in here. This is like being in a, I don't know, a museum or something. I'm sitting here in a good old-fashioned dinette. It has an up and down table here. This can go down and the cushions will come off and make a really nice big double right here in the main saloon. We've got good locker storage, a good library area here. Just found the VHF antenna, that's good. And nice locker, push button locker. Notice the access to our chain plates right here, and how well they've been you know, maintained. Okay, Randy, now we haven't seen this full-length galley arrangement before necessarily, except for the
Freedom 35?
Freedom 35. Here we have a very large refrigeration space here, and it's top loading, and I think Oh, yep, they've got room for everything in here, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
My arm is starting to hurt. This thing weighs about 15 pounds. But there is a catch for it up here, so I could, look at this, I can just lock this down in space there. See that? Smallest detail on the boat, but what a difference it makes. Storage.
I wonder what's in there.
Well, first of all, they've got little latches. Yes. And if you don't know, you could probably find your spoon supply. We've got locker space here. Look, this is really an old school boat here for sure. This is for your scotch and water.
Okay.
This is going to drain your icebox. This is, we've seen that before.
That's a little hand built.
Just that little hand pump right there. We've got a Force 10 3-burner propane stove, a beauty, big one. It's all gimbaled. This will take off. It's got a nice big oven in it. It hasn't been cooked in too much recently.
Pretty shiny.
But doesn't mean it can't. You can unlock it and that whole thing will gimbal, meaning it will tilt when the boat tilts. So this is the main saloon. We've got a library up here. It's got a nice array of clocks and barometers. And here's her builder's plate. She was hull number 1223, built in 1964 in Hong Kong. Here's a nice light switch. I'd like to get these turned on. I don't know about the juice. We haven't tried to turn on any power on the boat. Don't like to do that, but that's going to give you a nice deflected, diffused light to it. Now, one other thing to notice here too are the port lights here. These were devised by Cherubini, and what they do, it's a very simple thing. It's a little piece of plastic that falls down over the opening outside, and you close that up, and you put this wedge in there, and that keeps it drip-proof and watertight. Let's go forward. What do you say?
Yeah.
We have a nice little owner's or guest stateroom. Nice guest stateroom. It has. Oh, here's my shoes. I'm going to take them off.
Oh, that feels good.
There we go. I'm on a really nice padded berth, and it's kind of a happy color, this thing. It's sort of, maybe not everybody's choice, but it actually works on this boat. It brightens everything up and gives it a sort of a wonderful feel to it. There's some other good innovations in here. We have storage lockers like everywhere. Okay, we have 2 more Cherubini style ports over my head, and a large 4 square feet of hatch overhead. I could actually lie in my bunk here and brush my teeth. That's handy. What do you think about this mirror?
Yeah, it's a little small for the captain.
We need a bigger mirror in here. And right above it, if you look right above it, there's 2 110 outlets. You know, you're up here sleeping away in the night, nice breezes, and suddenly, you know, your bladder calls.
Oh, no.
Yes, Randy.
It is?
We have your own porta potty. Now, here's the neat thing. Look at this. I've been toying with this in my mind. How can you do this? What could you possibly do to improve the V-berth? Watch this. I pull this cushion up, and watch this. Boom.
Oh,
look at that.
That is great.
Isn't that great? And we've got one on the other side. And there actually is another support bar that goes under here to give it total support. Instead of having that big chunk of wood floating around everywhere.
Yeah, they always get thrown around, or you mount it to the overhead.
This curved companionway, I think, adds so much charm to the boat. And they couldn't put it straight down because they're going to run out and lose refrigeration space, right?
Yep.
So they have just curved it ever so little, but they've utilized everything. So wherever there's a little bit of space, they put a random locker to store gear in. Even under here, this is kind of unusual.
I thought I was going to see a bilge.
I am back in the Aft Cabin. You see this locker? We're looking at over the navigation table. You see that little gauge right here?
Oh, yeah.
What does that say?
Pump cycles.
You clear that, and then you leave the boat. When you come back 2 days later, that will tell you how many times your bilge pump went off or on.
Oh, that's handy.
And he also has a tank tender right here. You can tell all the what's in your fuel and so forth, how much fuel is in your tanks, how much water in your water tanks.
How do those operate?
Well, I think we can get this one going. Let me try. And you can just pump it up here a couple times, and there's the fuel tank, and it even has little arrows on there on the glass to show if that's considered full. Here's a nice little box designed to take his laptop, and beneath that we have our friend Mr. Chart Table. Now this is a little tight, but we do have a brand new engine here, which we're very happy about. I say brand new, 360 hours, I consider that brand new. Here's our almost brand new Yanmar.
Oh, wow.
35, 45 horse, I can't remember offhand, but anyway, he's put a little grease gun here that will remotely grease all your grease fittings. Now, it's a little tricky with this chart table standing up here, but this whole chart table can actually just be pulled out and set aside. Look at all the hose clamps on it, double hose clamps, a nice alternator here, raw water strainer. There's a whole DC panel over here with a master switch for the electronics, and there's some wiring in the way back. There are a couple of inverters on the boat, one forward, one aft, for 110, and your 110 power panel is on the other side of this cabin back here. This little panel right here, there's a little switch, and this is your AIS switch. If it's up, it says XMT, transmit.
Yep.
And so that means that your VHF is transmitting your actual position all the time. If you switch it down, it turns off the AIS aspect of it. Why do you have that?
If you want to go incognito?
Exactly. The owner, if he's racing the boat, he doesn't want the other racers to know where he is. Look up here and notice how this is opened up. So this could be an aft access to the boat. We also have a head back here.
Oh, really?
And,
Guess
you've
what?
already peaked. We got a twofer. Again, another one of our favorite old twofers. Do you see these holes over on the side? What do you think those holes are? That's a gauge for your holding tank.
Ah.
You can see the level through each of those holes there of what's in your holding tank. Now, the boat's also equipped with a macerator, chlorinator, and here's all the valving for and the piping for that system. I like the little China sink. Isn't that a nice touch? And look at this shower stall here. This is just really cool. And here's a shower curtain that'll come right around.
You've got a CQ handle on there too.
Yeah, a nice big handle. Taller the better.
Yep.
A lot of leverage and keeps your head out of the work at hand. Look at this.
Yep.
The gentleman that showed me this boat, who is a caretaker for the boat, is 6'4". He was still clearing the little, beam pieces here as he walked fore and aft in the cabin. So she's got 6'5" of headroom. We got a chance to trip down into yesteryear, to 1964, when a boat was a boat, right?
Yep.
Kind of like, what other boat did we see that made us feel that way? Was it like a Firefly?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. She was built to a rule. The rule was, how much boat can you fit in 41 feet? And Phil Rhodes did a really cool job of it. And the neatest thing about it, aside from its heritage, is the fact that one family has owned this boat since 1964. And the number of little things we've picked out on the boat, little switches to turn off your AIS, all sorts of fun little stuff that they've thought about.
Do you have a rating for this boat?
All right, I don't want to keep you in suspenders. Let me just say that the boat's floating right now, 10 right off the bat. I gotta give her 5 because she's a Phil Rhodes design. I gotta give her a 5 because she's a yawl. I love it. This boat, by the way, would cost you almost $800,000 to replicate today.
Wow.
So for her price and all things rolled into one, it's got to be another 10.
Oh.
It's got to be another 10. We just had a 30, I know, and are we losing control here? And I'm going to throw one more on top of that just to put it out ahead of the pack. We're going with 31 today.
Highest rating ever.
Highest rating ever. And boy, is she worth it. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when the next one comes out, please hit the alert bell. And that's not desperate at all. So we're having too good a time doing these things, so you're going to hit the bell or not. Randy, how would I ever find out what's coming up next?
You can follow us on Instagram here,
Yeah?
or Facebook here. We'll have little previews of what's coming up on our next episodes. A little bit early.
That's pretty cool. Previews. You all join me. I'm going to Instagram right now, and I'm going to find out what's coming up next week. Thank you very much.
You know, Instagram's not a place.